So
Yeah.
that, like, because, I mean, whether you call it lobbying or whatever, it's bribery.
Yes.
That's all
Yes.
it is. It's
Hmm.
like you pay somebody money to do things the way you want them to do it. And it's like that's not ethical at all,
No,
first of
no.
all.
And then it's like, well, then do these people really represent you as an individual, or do they represent a corporate interest of some sort? Like,
It's a shame that people like you and I can't just overnight become billionaires and
yeah,
start lobbying the government to do the right thing, you know?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
how much are they giving you? Okay, we'll give you more. Like,
Yep. It's stupid that should even be a necessity. Shouldn't altruism of some sort be the reason you're doing things?
I mean,
It's the reason I'm doing things.
and that's why you're not rich, man. It's true. In order to be rich, you can't be sane.
I disagree with Bernie Sanders on the high level stuff, but the deep principles, yes, I totally agree. Everything that he's concerned about, I'm concerned about. I disagree on the execution of how we're going to solve this.
One of his big issues that he tackles often is a form of lobbying. It's these super PACs. I mean that is not a partisan issue as long as you're not one of the mega rich people that benefits from that. I don't see why you wouldn't have a problem with money directing the course of elections. Why should that be crazy talk, you know? Is that an issue that divides people? As far as like things that Bernie believes, is that one of the ones that actually divides people?
Going back to Star Trek, as always, Hugh, the Borg that the Enterprise welcomed into their ship and helped him recover and stuff, and then they sent him back to the Borg, and he brought all of his experiences back into the Borg collective and changed things. And yeah, okay, for a minute it got a little bit crazy, but ultimately the Borg were better off. Why don't we bring people in, teach people, help people, and then they can go back to their place of origin and better the place where they came from? What do you want to talk about today, Casey?
Well, today was Germany's elections
Mm-hmm.
at the time of this recording, and I breathed a sigh of relief when I saw that uh, the AFD was not first place in the election, which is kind of like the rising power or rising party, rising in popularity party of uh, people that are associating with neo Nazis,
Okay.
and they're very like anti-immigrant. It's very much like the MAGA of Germany,
Hmm.
and Elon Musk was uh, making a significant push to get them elected. Um, and why would he do that? That's up for speculation, but it makes me think like I really wish like people with money would just get their money grubbing hands out of politics, and like lobbying is just such bullshit, you know?
Well, yeah, God, lobbying, man. Uh, it okay, lobbying from the stance of maybe engaging with a political individual, a representative from on a personal level, like you go to their office, you have a conversation, you appeal to them, you state your case or something, and be like, hey, this is important. I don't have a problem with that. But handing somebody money, like just paying somebody off, that's really skeevy. And that's been going on in the US for so long. Well, and obviously across the world.
Well, and there's ways of doing it off the books too, so
Yeah.
that like because I mean, whether you call it lobbying or whatever, it's bribery.
Yes.
That's all
Yes.
it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
like you pay somebody money to do things the way you want them to do it, and it's like that's not ethical at all,
No,
first of
no.
all.
And then it's like, well, then do these people really represent you as an individual, or do they represent a corporate interest of some sort?
Right.
Well, and then there's, like you said, off the books options like revolving door politics, as they call it. So it's like, you do a thing to benefit some kind of corporate interest, and then you get a cushy executive position at some big corporation, that the one that you benefited with whatever legislation you passed or whatever decision you made. Um,
What
that
was it? Clarence Thomas was getting like all this time at a vacation home or
Yeah,
something, and
yeah. Well,
like,
and this is the thing. It's like, also, we can look at like U.S. people, Congress, and senators and stuff like that, like, or the House and the Senate. People come in basically being regular people, and they come out millionaires, but
mhm.
they don't get paid that much. Their annual salary is pretty regular. So how are they millionaires all of a sudden?
I think it's six figures.
I think it's, I don't know. Yeah,
I think a governor makes like almost a quarter million a
yeah.
year. Um,
But even that, they're after a few years, they tend to be worth, like, their net worth is much higher than you would expect.
yeah, and I mean that can be achieved with investing or whatever, but like it shouldn't be that high paid to begin with,
Yeah,
for
I
one
agree.
thing.
I agree.
Like there's no point. Like if with all this Doge crap, it's like the real waste is stuff like no term limits, like being able to vote for your own pay raise, like
Mhm.
all this shit, like all the waste is going into salaries of people that just sit there and grow old and die in their position of
Oh,
sitting around doing nothing except bickering and pretending to hate the other team when it's on the same team.
no
Like,
kidding. Yeah, term limits. That's a thing. It's like, what's his name? The turtle guy, Mitch McConnell, I think. Just backed out recently. It's like, dude, that motherfucker's been there for so fucking long. Why? Like, so many of these people have been there. You're like career politicians. It should not be a career. What you it should be a thing you do for the community, for the people of a country, for a short time. Like, you're in there for a little bit, you serve your term, and then peace out.
I, when everything crumbles or gets burnt down and started again, like I really strongly urge people to run with the idea of having anonymous political leaders.
Yeah.
Like, like we don't know who they are. They don't want to
Mhm.
be known by
Yeah.
anybody. No cult of personality
Mhm.
problems, no, lobbying issues because you don't know who to pay. You know,
Yeah. No, that's an interesting idea. Well, and also nonpartisanism. That
hmm
there shouldn't be political parties. That is kind of one of the, like, a crux of the problem, is that there's this artificial divide Like, why
Right.
can't it just be people, regular, everyday people who live amongst us with their varied views and ideas about things coming in to serve the community, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with that? Why does it have to? You got to pick a team. Fuck that shit.
Right.
Exactly what. That's how you get messes. You know.
It's like, yeah, like you you know, political parties will form, of course, like
Yeah.
like-minded people congregate and stuff,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be an official thing. It should just be more like a, hey, we're the people that like badminton and we want it to be a human right or something.
Yeah.
Like it should be something innocuous like that rather than like, we're the ones that think healthcare should be right and we're the ones that think, abortion should be illegal and like you get all this and I mean it's even here there's political parties in pretty much every democratic country as far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah. There
Um
is. It
and
just it's an emergent property of
yeah,
people.
but you do end up with the same problems, like
Yeah.
it's people putting themselves in buckets, like
Hmm.
feeling pressure, peer pressure
Yeah.
in a job where they're supposed to be if they're going to feel pressure from anyone, it should be their constituents, not their
Yes.
fellow party members.
Uh-huh. Well, and
Like,
and that's a problem with the partisan structure is like, oh, you can't be, well, it's generally frowned upon if you're, say, in the US, a Democrat and you're pro-gun, or if you're a Republican and you're pro-choice.
mhm.
Like, oh, your fellow party members are going to be like, oh, get away from me. It's like, okay, but we agree on literally everything else except that thing, but that's not allowed. That's verboten.
Right.
Why is that a problem? I don't get it. uh
Nah, that doesn't make any sense. And I, I, I don't know how they could prevent lobbying without anonymity
mm,
because like I'm I don't really know how this works, lobbying. Like they talk about it openly as if it's allowed, but how could it be? Like it is bribery. It is literally bribery.
it's
And
100% bribery.
and
Yeah.
if it weren't, they wouldn't be trying to hide it like with Clarence Thomas, like, oh, we'll let you use our vacation house and stuff, if you you know, shoot down abortion or something.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, how do you stop that? Well, the only way is to be like, well, I don't know who I can bribe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that yeah, well, technology could solve that, I suppose, where there's literally nobody you can physically interact with. They're just
Yeah.
nameless, faceless
Just the Wizard
numbers.
of Oz,
Yeah.
like
Yeah, exactly.
big floating head.
Hmm. Well, I would say maybe one thing is, I suppose, I think solutions to societal problems ought to be solved by society itself. Like, we need to be more angry about stuff like that. That, like, disavow people if they, Floyd, he agrees, but, like, make it a cultural thing to where, like, doing something like that is so bad that you'd be shunned and excommunicated from society forever. Maybe that's the only way.
Yeah, I mean the trouble with that is like the ones doing the lobbying are these big businesses, and you can't topple a big business with boycotts. And
No.
I mean, it maybe if you could actually get everybody on board to do the boycott for a certain stretch of time, but you can't. Like this is literally impossible to do that.
Uh,
Like, I don't know why people still try. They're all like,
I,
February 28th is don't, or 25th. I don't even remember because it's like, what's the point? Like, don't buy anything day. And it's like,
yeah.
I like the idea, but like, it's not gonna work. You know?
Exactly. It's like you're just going through the motions.
And it wouldn't even make that big of a hit, you know,
No,
one day.
no, it wouldn't. I frankly, I don't know the right answer to that, but maybe the only way for things to get better is for things to get way worse. For it, like everything to burn down, and then we start again.
Yeah.
Like
I
that
think
is
it'll have to
nature.
come to that. Like,
Well, that is nature's way too. Like we're artificially propping up this house of cards.
mm,
Like, why? What's the point? It's a facade. Like, and it's not benefiting anybody. Everybody's miserable. Everybody's angry. Like, why don't we just throw it away and start over?
mm, I mean, yeah, I wish it were that easy, you know. Like years ago, I started writing like an outline for like a new system of government wherein I was not only outlining like how things should be in the new system, but more of like a transition plan, like how to tear things down and build things up simultaneously so that there's like a scaffolding, you know, to kind of transition things from one way to another. And that would be like outside of burning it down, like that would be what you would have to do, but that is incredibly complicated and just for one person to come up with, but then getting everybody to agree. Oh, jeez.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of haven't touched that in a few years, but uh
Well, it's a worthy endeavor to propose different ideas for the future. Uh,
yeah.
well, Gene Roddenberry did that.
Well, I was just about to say, like my actual intent is maybe someday to write like uh, a fantasy novel and have that be a like a basis for
Mhm.
the story, so that it has influence, you know, with
Yeah.
because there's a lot of stuff in fiction
Hmm.
that influences like Gene Roddenberry that influences real life in positive ways, negative ways too, but
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
and I think that would be probably the best way to actually reach people is through a creative medium, you know.
Well, absolutely. You and I both love Star Trek, and Star Trek introduced me to things that I would normally have been resistant to accepting if somebody, um, perhaps, I don't know, like if it was in the real world, let's say, but in a hypothetical fantasy scenario, it made me think about stuff, and that translates to the real world. Like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. I completely have a different opinion now. Hey, Floyd. Yes, yes. For all the people with subwoofers. um, thanks, Floyd. Yeah.
Yeah, like creative stuff, I think it would be a good way to introduce an idea such as, you know, like anonymous leaders or something,
Hmm.
and hopefully that would take hold because um yeah, like I mean you can tell stories that are like allegorical, can be applied to what's going on in the world right now, and Star Trek stuff like that. Um, but it's also like it's also a fine line to walk with getting the right message across. So like
Yeah.
I'm trying to do a similar thing with this concept album. It's loosely based on my friend Jeff who committed suicide.
Mhm.
That's a touchy subject.
Yes.
Um, I'm struggling with whether or not, because my obvious goal is to deter people from suicide, but the story, if I were true to the story, ends in a certain way that people may construe as advocating for suicide.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it's like, that's a pickle. Uh,
A little sticky
and
wicket there.
it's not as easy as saying, yes, I believe nobody should ever commit suicide, because I mean, we've done episodes on this before. Like, it is kind of up to you, like
Mhm.
if you don't feel like living anymore, like if you have a miserable existence, a fatal illness or something that's just miserable and can't be treated, and like whatever the reason, it's your reason, it's your choice.
This is true. Yeah.
Um, and I guess in that way, that's not so much different than lobbying. Like these politicians could say, "No, fuck you. I'm working for the people," but we
Hmm.
see how that goes.
Yeah. Very, very rarely goes that way.
Mhm.
But I guess speaking to what you were talking about, like a fantasy story, or allegorical story, like it won't have impact if it's not, it doesn't have a foundation in reality. um and in order to understand something, uh, it's really important to be to like have all the facts and know what's going on. I like Star Trek TNG, I think it was season 1. um the I'm trying to remember the episode now, but it was
The
one where
people that were like frozen in time, and he wanted his money.
well, no, I was thinking about Tasha Yar,
Oh,
and she was like, "Oh, drugs can make you feel good." Um, and it's like, oh, well, that's not necessarily the best message, but like, okay, that is a fact. Like, that is not incorrect. You have to begin with an understanding of reality and not pretend it doesn't exist. Um, like,
Tasha and Blaze and Bev were in the back of sick bay, like
yeah,
toting
yeah. Yeah. But it like if we work from the standpoint of like, I don't know, like actually I'm not even sure what I'm thinking now, because you talked about Beverly Crusher, so uh, she's always my favorite.
uh yeah. um hmm. Are there any politicians besides, like, I mean, Bernie Sanders comes to mind, but are there any politicians that are kind of known for like sticking to their principles, like not taking lobbying money, or you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, and very few. I think Ron Paul too, kind of similar. I, like I don't agree with like Bernie Sanders' take on things, but you know what? I respect the guy infinitely for like basically being the same guy
Yeah.
from the beginning to now. Like he hasn't really like hasn't changed his tune, and
Mhm.
I have like mad respect for that. And but it's really rare, and it's kind of also unfortunate that he keeps getting shit on by people. But
Yeah.
like
Well, it goes against it. It shows you that there is just one team,
Yeah.
and what he's talking about goes against the way the one team wants to play the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I just sounded like Randy there.
Oh, just rest in peace. Great minor bird of the sky.
Speaking of too many people dying lately.
God damn, I know.
Uh,
Well, and here's the thing, it's like I disagree with Bernie Sanders on the high level stuff, but the deep principles, yes, I totally agree. Like everything that he's concerned about, I'm concerned about.
right.
It just like I disagree on the execution of how we're going to solve this.
One of his big uh, issues that he tackles often is a form of lobbying. It's super PACs, that
God damn. Oh yeah.
like what we see, with Elon Musk, like spending a shit ton of money to get Trump elected, and now Elon is acting like he's the president, and Trump is just like rolling over and letting him do that shit
Well,
because he
okay.
got bought.
Well, okay. Well, I will throw this out that like the anarchist in me does enjoy seeing the chainsaw coming down and cutting things, but of course, it's probably all for show.
I
Uh,
mean, but why? Like these are real people losing their jobs. Like good people too. It's not even like the actual wasteful shit like the TSA. No, they're cutting like park rangers and science. He wants to fucking shut down the ISS 4 years early.
yeah,
And there's a shit ton of amazing research and even medical advancements that can be
well,
coming,
and
you know?
like the ISS. Okay, well, but there's a lot to unpack there. Um, the ISS is awesome. Like it's the most expensive thing that human beings have built ever. It's also the coolest thing. And even if we don't get anything out of it, no research, no nothing, like just the sheer coming together. Oh, wait a minute, China, they weren't involved. So they built their own space station. Tiangong. Huh, pretty cool place. Um, good on them. But like still it's a worthy endeavor. Like in its own right. Um, sure, it's expensive, but then it's actually kind of ironic for somebody like Elon Musk to be talking about shutting down the ISS while
Right.
simultaneously talking about the stupidest space mission ever, going
Yeah.
to Mars.
Well, that's his angle is he wants, and he's kind of got NASA in his pocket too because um they they they're having SpaceX be the one that will deorbit the ISS in 2031. Um, but that's his whole angle is he wants to say like fuck everything in space except going to Mars. And it's like, well, what are you gonna do when you get there, asshole? Like, what's your plan?
Well, I
Just
would
gonna
say
just gonna land on Mars and be like, look at me, I'm the first person on Mars. Well,
no,
good for you.
it'll be
Like,
like we die. Like that's what you do when you go to Mars. Like,
right?
there's no coming back. Um,
hmm So I'm all for him going.
well, it's like, okay if
Just stay
somebody
there.
if somebody has a bunch of resources and they want to burn them on some dumbass project, I mean, it's not like that hasn't happened before. Look, go ahead, knock yourself out. That's fine. But don't get in the way of. Hi, Floyd. Don't get in the way of what other people are doing. Um, yeah, buddy. Hi. I know. Uh, Floyd's like, I'll go to Mars. Yeah,
Is
he
there
wouldn't let.
food there?
Do they have fish?
But I
No.
mean that is like I, I feel like that's one of the things that is not a partisan issue. Like as long as you're not one of the mega rich people that benefits from something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why you wouldn't have a problem with money directing the course of elections. Like, you know, why should that be crazy talk, you know? Um, so I like, is that an issue that divides people? Like, as far as like things that Bernie believes, you know, is that one of the ones that actually divides people?
Uh, well, and like I was saying, it's like, you know, the troubles that Bernie Sanders brings up. It's like, yes, I agree. These are, I totally agree that these are like problems within our current state of existence. Like, and that shouldn't be a partisan thing. Costs are high, rents are too damn high. Uh,
Mhm.
it's expensive. We're working too much and getting too little. Like, the people need access to like services and various things. Like, I agree with that. And I think maybe therein lies the problem, is that it becomes like when you have this partisan divide, people are like almost like, oh, well, they have a D, or they're the blue team or the red team or whatever, and autonomically respond with disdain and
Yeah.
and stuff. It's like, fucking A, man. It's like, these are recognizable issues. Like, they're legit. Um, eh,
Yeah. To go back to something you were saying before, like society solving their own problems,
mhm.
something like high rents is actually something that I think could be solved by, you know, a handful of people that, I mean, they have to have the means for this, so it's not like broke people can do this, but like if you have an apartment building or something, just advertise that you're the cheapest game in town. Like
Yeah.
your rents are affordable
Mhm.
because you got in on the ground level at like a good price and you're not getting raped on your mortgage, so you can pass on the savings. Every other landlord is like, yeah, well, the market price is blah, 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 blah. And you know, they just pocket like $4,000 every month that they don't actually need to cover the mortgage, you know?
Mhm.
And if that stopped happening, you know, and people were like clamoring towards these people, well, then they would actually be able to, you know, and they could actually charge like a high enough rent that they could sink that extra money into another building and get more people because they're popular now, you
Yeah,
know, and just keep doing that.
yeah,
Like
exactly. Well, and
it seems like simple business principles that nobody's getting.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
hey, if we sell something for cheaper, we might get more of the market.
Hmm.
Fancy that.
Well, I'm a big fan of tiny houses. I think tiny houses are great. I think everybody should have one in their backyard, and I illegally built one in my own backyard. Um, and that's the issue. It's like, technically, I'm not allowed to do that. To like house somebody and their dog who would be homeless if it were not for me building this in my backyard and welcoming somebody in. Um, I think we need the defiance, I suppose. Like, you know what? Swivel on it, punk. Like, we got to have more people who stand up against the system, the status quo, the Karens out there, and the HOAs that are like, oh, well, your trash can is 2 feet too far towards the driveway or whatever. It, like, fuck that shit. You know what? Like, humanitarian stuff. That's what we got to be focusing on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it involves breaking the rules. And well, I've been a rule breaker for a long time.
Yeah. I think the problem with a lot of uh, ethically minded problem solvers is that they aren't willing to break the rules.
Yeah.
Um, because sometimes it does require going to the extremes. And it's a matter of like getting backed into a corner, you know, like I don't, I wouldn't advocate for being a rule breaker just for the sake of being a rule breaker.
Oh, no, absolutely not. It has
But
to
like,
have some kind of justification.
yeah, like it, yeah, if push comes to shove, you have to be willing to say, you know what, like I'm I'm not a goody two shoes. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just about doing what's right, and
Well,
now doing what is wrong is the right thing.
and well, we're both familiar with the term "I was only following orders,"
Right.
and well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Um,
I am I'm becoming very loud lately on social media, hoping anybody and everybody in the military will see it, hear it, think about it, pass it on, that if the order comes to do something that is blatantly wrong,
mhm.
you know, against human being, like innocent human beings, um, you need to turn on the one giving the orders. Like
Yeah.
you have to. You know,
Uh,
like it's actually like part of their oath, you know, to
well,
defend the Constitution, not the president. You know, like
there's that, and then I remember an advertising campaign for the military in the U.S. Army of One.
mhm, yeah,
Um, like you're an individual with your own thoughts and your own reasoning and your own judgment. Like
I
that
think they had a
actually,
different intent for that marketing.
they did. Yes, they did. But I interpreted it a little bit differently than they probably sold it, which is why the recruiters went away. But that is a thing. Like, yeah, you got to have critical thinking. Like, don't blindly follow orders.
Right.
You're a soldier, man. Like, you like, what is your purpose? Is your purpose to just simply be a robot doing the bidding of the powers that be, or is your purpose to be a defender?
Well, I tell you, that's what it comes down to in the U.S. military is is it like actual brainwashing. Like
Yeah.
there's a significant propaganda campaign within the military to beat it into them that obedience is a virtue and obedience is not a virtue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it it can be part of virtue,
Well, and
yes, but
I
obedience in itself is not like something to be heralded, you know, like,
no,
ah,
no,
what a
in
good boy doing exactly what he's told. Yeah, well, if two people tell him to do opposing things, which one's the virtuous one? You know, like it doesn't matter if you follow orders or not, like as far as like whether or not you're a good person. If the orders are bad and you follow them, you're a bad person. You
mm-hmm.
know, like that's not virtue.
You're participating in this badness. Yeah, and
Mhm.
that's important. Um, sure, it could be a little bit confusing from a tactical standpoint. If everybody has a will of their own, right, and doesn't necessarily follow everything that's said. But actually, I recently saw a video talking about Star Trek, of course, and the Prime Directive,
Yeah.
and how it was more of like a strong suggestion rather than a law. It's like, hey, here's the principle, and this is why, you should do that. But of course, we know, in Star Trek, um, many captains have violated that rule
Yeah.
many times over, and for good reason. Like, because we shouldn't have hard and fast rules. There's got to be wiggle room to kind of analyze the circumstances and be like, well, yeah, okay, well, we'll try to adhere to those principles, but this is like a special case.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, and of course that's not something they don't want soldiers thinking independently, because of course that's not something that you can depend on when you want all of your soldiers to move like a flock of birds, but maybe we wouldn't have to focus so heavily on that if we weren't so focused on warmongering, you know?
No kidding. Well, it's like, my dad served in Vietnam for the Marines. And I that particular conflict is an interesting one to me. And it's like, all right, in the moment, the enemy is coming over a hill. Okay, yes, you do need to move like a flock of birds. You need to work together to protect yourself, to preserve yourself. But there's nothing wrong with questioning, why are you fighting in the first place? Why the fuck are we fighting these people we don't even know? Um, maybe, just maybe, the enemy is not in Vietnam. Maybe it's in DC. you know? Well, they don't want that though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows for how long, but for a long, long time, the US has been the bad guy.
Mhm.
And lobbying is just one piece of that pie
Mhm.
that made it that way, I'm sure, but it's definitely one that uh if eliminated, I think would go a long way to rectifying that situation.
No, you're right. The problem I see with lobbying is like it isn't a thing of the people. It isn't like, oh, me, Eric Rosenblatt, I go to DC and talk to a senator and appeal to them about something that I believe firmly in, and they listen to me. No, it's like you grease the palms.
Yeah.
A big business pays somebody off to do their bidding, and
Mm.
and like, how is that democratic? That is
Not at all.
not, it's not even
It's the exact opposite.
yeah.
Like
That's
like really, like Star Trek should be required viewing for politicians.
yes.
If the needs of the many outweighed the needs of the few were rattling around in the heads of politicians, maybe that would help.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like it's a simple, once again, thing that was born of fiction, but it
Mhm.
is a true guiding principle that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sometimes there are difficult situations. There's a Sophie's choice, there's a trolley problem, like it's gonna suck, but you need to make it suck as little as possible. Yeah.
Well, most problems are not that. You have time. You can have
Mhm.
public discourse about whatever woes ail us. Like, it's not a giant flaming meteorite. Of course, I'm sure you have heard about what is it, 2032 or something. We might possibly maybe be hit by a pretty big asteroid. Um,
Oh,
get,
they said now it's not going to hit us.
well, it was like a 0.2% chance. So, but still, it's like, all right, in the face of that, yeah, we got to buckle down, and this is a looming problem we got to solve right now. Um, Ideas,
Hmm.
but most of these things, the stuff the ails that plague humankind, have been things that have existed for thousands of years, and okay, well, this is not a meteorite. This is a thing born of our own creation. So we have time to sit down, a round table talk, discuss things, discuss solutions, because there are solutions. But it doesn't benefit us to be running around and screaming and freaking the fuck out. Um,
I wish politicians would come on this show for an interview because,
yeah.
and of course they never will because I'm advertising that I would ask questions like, do you think it's okay to accept lobbying money? Like what, why are you okay with it? Or if you're not okay with it, why are you okay with your colleagues doing it? Like, well, what are you doing to stop it? Because that is clearly not okay. You're serving the interests of a few and you're personally benefiting from it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're screwing over the people that you took an oath to represent.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you can paint that in a positive light.
No, no, not at all.
How do you look in the mirror and be like, yeah, yeah, I'm a good person? Yeah, like,
Well, yeah, we probably wouldn't get too many politicians. I mean, especially with the two of us engaging with them. It's like, oh, yeah, you're going to be raked over the coals, bitch. Um, like, okay, somebody like Bernie Sanders probably would.
hmm,
And, like, probably maybe somebody, Ron Paul, the outsiders, the people on the fringes, um, but definitely not the mainstream D's and R's, red team, blue team. Oh yeah, no, they wouldn't fucking talk to us.
no.
They'd rather have go on like their whatever media shows they go on and get softball questions about things, and but act like, hey, I'm doing good for the people. Like,
Yeah.
really, really, where's your evidence, huh? Like, show me the receipts.
Right.
Like, what have you done?
Yeah, like the the most baller move would be like if we ever got some seedy politician to agree to come on the show. And they'd
Mm,
be all like, okay, it can't be live. We have to be able to see the recording and make redactions and blah blah blah, like things that we don't do.
mm-hmm,
Um, like as a matter of principle from day one of this show, like, and then we'd be like, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, of course. And then as soon as they get on and we start getting into the hot button stuff, we just surreptitiously go live.
go live. Yep.
Yeah. And then it's like, you know what? Like, how does it feel to have someone you put your trust in all of a sudden turn around and stab you in the back? And
Well,
like
but it
maybe
wouldn't be.
maybe then they would, yeah.
It'd be just simply showing reality, right? Like the
Mhm.
true, like
Mhm.
the emperor has no clothes, that kind of.
That is an example of what we talked about a few minutes ago. Like
Mhm.
doing something wrong is right.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
And I think we talked about that in an episode or Lightning Strikes Twice not too long ago about, the difference in morality and ethics,
Mm-hmm.
um, where I said something like, morality is like right and wrong, and ethics is what's fair and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that. Yeah, those things don't always agree.
No, no, they don't. I mean, I did a.
Sometimes you have to be a sneaky bastard to do
Mhm.
something unethical for the right moral reasons.
Well, and I did a minute microscopy about that, like morality, ethics, and the law. And there's a lot of people who think like, oh, just because something is penned down as law, it must be ethical. It must be the right way. Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, Jesus Christ, look at even in the US's short history, there were a lot of laws that looking at them today, we could be like, yeah, that's terrible. That's awful. Like, well, even just things that weren't necessarily laws, but actions. The Japanese internment camps,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh, what? Just because they're Japanese, you're going to pull them out of their homes, which they're never going to get back, and stick them in a facility just because Japan and the U.S. is at war with each other.
Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Ugh. Fucking Guantanamo Bay, man. Ugh.
Yeah. And they're converting that place to house more Mexicans too. Like house is probably the wrong word. Um,
I don't think that place is a place of comfort.
no.
Uh, it's intentionally the opposite.
Yeah.
Um, and like, you know what? Okay. All right. Let's talk about immigration for a minute.
Actually, if we're switching gears, let's take
Okay.
a commercial break because I really have to pee.
Okay. We'll do that. Me too.
Have you ever needed to grow a beard in a day? Well, now you can just take Beardamax, and within minutes you'll have the most awesome looking hipster beard you can ever imagine. It may begin as a tiger stripe beard, but don't worry, within just moments you'll have a full and lustrous beard.
This product and these claims have not been evaluated by the FDA because Beard Max does not actually exist. If it did, taking Beard Max should be done under careful supervision of a barber. Misuse of Beard Max can lead to positions in the back of band for ZZ Top. Side effects include stroking your chin when you have a good idea, urges to wear flannel, and polarization among women on levels of attraction to your beard.
Well, that's a hot button topic, and that could probably be its own episode. But I think, like, you know what? What's the problem with people wanting to come from one country to another to better their lives? Like, what isn't that a good thing? Isn't that what? Well, like living in the U.S., isn't that what the U.S. stands for? It's like, hey, maybe you came from another place, things are a little shitty. This is the place where you can realize your dreams, the American dream, right?
But I mean, that's not, of course, that's not the angle they use to do what they want to do. They create this false interpretation that every Mexican is bringing drugs and crime, and it's quite the opposite. Like,
Well, no, this is definitely true, and it's not. No, it's not just Mexicans. Like, yeah, we can talk about like the southern border of the U.S.
mm,
There's a lot of people coming from a lot of different places, and there are people coming from Canada. It is like, but what's the
most of the
problem?
fentanyl crossing borders is coming from the US to Canada.
Well, yeah, that's a whole complicated thing. But like, as far as people coming here, like, I don't see the issue. I don't understand why it's a problem. I mean, look at the US. The US is kind of like Babylon 5. Like there's a little bit of everybody from everywhere else all coming together, building this interesting place. And that's what makes it cool. Like, yeah, okay, you could have your space over there, where you can have your culture and stuff, but you know what? The US's culture is like everybody's culture.
I yeah, there's a similar problem in Germany, Sweden, many countries
Mhm.
that are, let's say developed or whatever,
Mhm.
are often safe havens for neighboring countries that aren't doing so well. And like it does make sense if you have an infrastructure of support for your citizens, and then these refugees or whatever are able to take advantage of that. It puts a strain on it or whatever, like
Mhm.
there is legitimate concern in that. It's not a reason to just close borders altogether.
No.
But the thing I don't understand is when you come into America, like Americans have trouble getting fucking help from American government.
Yeah.
So like how are they siphoning off the
I
system?
wish I had like a body cam video of me going in to try to get food stamps, like
Yeah.
food aid, and,
Yeah.
and the people, the administrators there, like laughing at me and telling me, like, "Oh, you run a business, you like, well, that's you. You totally should have enough money." I'm like, have you ever run a business before? Do you know how that works? Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I can guarantee you there aren't people going into America and somehow gaming the system to get all these benefits for doing nothing. That doesn't happen.
Well,
Like, that's not even possible in the US.
it might happen a little bit, but that doesn't mean we can necessarily blanket judge every single person in
Right.
that regard, and that's the important thing.
Mhm.
Like, okay, yeah, there's a limit to how much you can give, um, but we should be giving, we should be welcoming, because I think
Mhm.
there's a net positive at the end of the day. Um, I'm sure that's going to be.
I mean, like, what- you posted something on Facebook recently, like something to the effect of like, what if instead of fighting and destroying, we were trying to lift each other up or something? It's like, why not take that approach
Yeah.
with these countries who are, people are fleeing from? And it's like, what can we do to help you help your people so they don't
I,
want to leave?
I was thinking the very same thing. So, like, well, going back to Star Trek, as always, Hugh,
Mm.
the Borg that the Enterprise welcomed into their ship and helped him recover and stuff, and then they sent him back to the Borg, and he brought all of his experiences back into the Borg collective and changed things. And yeah, okay, for a minute it got a little bit crazy, but ultimately the Borg were better off. And
Mm.
that okay, you know what? Why don't we bring people in, teach people, help people, and then they can go back to their place of origin and better the place where they came from. I don't see how that's a problem. Like,
Well, I don't think that would even work. Like, it's like what we were starting the episode talking about is like, you can't actually make an impact on the government without a shit ton of money. Like, so it's not quite like a Borg collective thing where an idea is just instantly viral.
well,
Um,
okay, think about like South Africa and Nelson Mandela. Um, the effect, the
he just died,
impact.
right?
I think so. Well, wait a minute. Oh, Mandela effect
Wasn't he already dead?
right up there. But yes, one person maybe can't make a difference, but one person can make a difference. And where do we don't we want to make a difference? What do you do? Yeah,
I mean,
I know it's an almost insurmountable hill to climb, but people climb hills, they climb mountains, they do it. Why?
let's look at my situation, because I did move to another country,
Mhm.
and part of the reason I came here, I mean, like, I met someone, fell in love and all that stuff, but
Mhm.
I was also, of course, aware that they had a more developed system of healthcare, which is something that matters a great deal to a person who's had cancer 3 times, if you count my skin cancer.
Okay.
Actually, maybe 4, because I'm pretty sure this is skin cancer.
God.
Um,
Well, this might be too, so
yeah.
we'll see.
Um, and like, if the government here were all of a sudden to be like, well, now you've had some doctor's appointments, so it's time to go back to America and show them how to do it. And it's like, well, I'm
Well,
just a
no,
drop in the ocean, man. Like,
no, that's not exactly what I was talking about. It's like more like if you have a taste of what it's like to be free, to live free, and then you can bring that back to your culture, and then b- inject your own particular flavor into it. Um, Change the world,
hmm.
hopefully. Like,
I mean, it's a romantic idea, but
yeah,
um, like, in application, I don't know that it would have far-reaching results without more drastic measures. I mean, speaking of drastic measures, you had that Luigi Mangione killing a CEO of United Healthcare, and that did make some positive changes in policy,
mm-hmm.
but not, it didn't change anything overnight. Like,
Well,
things are relatively the same, and it'll probably go back to status quo when all of that settles.
yeah, it probably will. And incremental changes,
Hmm.
a little bit at a time. And yes, there are times where we got to buckle up and gear up for combat sometimes. I don't like that idea. I don't think that's the best idea, but you know what? We're still fairly primitive. So that's what we got to do. That's the language that humans speak, for now. But it's like we should always be looking towards the future. It's like, you know what? Don't operate in the here and now as if this is the only thing that matters. There's a bigger picture, there's a brighter future, there's more that we could be doing. Like, we should be starfaring. Like, we ought to be. If we didn't, if if we weren't fighting all these wars and engaging in all these conflicts, like all the resources we burned just being angry at each other, if that was diverted to solving the problems of humanity and exploration, like, yeah, everybody be perfectly fine, and we'd be exploring the stars together.
Yeah.
Um, like,
It's a shame that people like you and I can't just overnight become billionaires and start lobbying the government to do the right thing, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
exactly.
like How much are they giving you? Okay, we'll give you more to do the right thing. Like,
Yep, exactly. Mm, mm, mm.
because honestly,
It it's stupid that should even be a necessity.
right.
Shouldn't altruism of some sort be the reason you're doing things?
I mean,
It's the reason I'm doing things. Like,
and that's why you're not rich, man.
yeah.
No, it's true. Like, in order to be rich, I'm pretty sure you can't be sane.
Yeah.
Like, you are narcissistic.
Mhm.
You're psychopathic. You only care about number one. Like,
Yeah.
you're just looking out for yourself. You're you never have enough. You're always looking for ways to make more, 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 more.
Well,
You're always chasing that dopamine rush, like,
which is really, I don't know if I would say humorous, but it's like at the end of the day, having more doesn't mean diddly shit. Like it all
right.
turns to dust when you die.
That's
Don't
like,
you want to be the person who's remembered, immortalized with a bronze statue? That like,
right.
oh yeah, Neil Armstrong, first man to step foot on another planet, like, or well, a moon. Well, depends on what you believe. Um, but still, it's like, okay, that's an accomplishment. Um, the guy that developed the blue LED, that was a fucking game changer. Uh, oh, and he's forgotten, of course. Um, eh,
That's why it makes no sense to me when people like defend billionaires from the idea of like asking them to contribute more tax money, just like contribute to society a little bit more, like, well, no, no, they earned it. Like that's their money. Or well, it's not real money, it's stocks or something. And it's like, you know what? It's fucking liquid. Yeah. Like, you know, it, like if somebody were killing people because they wanted to and they feel like they earned it, well, we would stop them. But when they're like totally fucking hoarding shit while people are starving and not being able to afford health care and food and shelter, and it's like, well, why are we fucking defending that? Like,
well, it is a little bit ridiculous.
yeah,
Like we have the capacity. Okay, granted, it's somewhat limited. We're not quite there yet, but we have the capacity to solve so many problems if we divert our resources towards doing that.
yeah,
Why? Like, okay,
definitely,
why?
definitely. I saw like a chart about um how much fossil fuel gets burnt creating fossil fuel, transporting fossil fuel. Like, most of the energy we use is to move the energy around and make the energy. And if
Yep.
we transferred all of our, like, if we just put everything into like solar and wind and like some not so
Nuclear,
bad stuff,
please,
even
nuclear.
without nuclear, we could probably fucking get by with like 70% less power output, you know, like,
Oh
just
yeah.
by not doing all that shit.
Well, maybe don't engage in warfare.
Yeah. But
Look,
it's like
look at
people always look at what we're doing now. Like, we need this much energy. Well, it's like, well, okay, like, but you only actually need like this much. You're just using that much right now.
Mhm.
Like, look at what you actually need. Like this Doge concept, like it's a sound principle. Like, find waste and get rid of it.
Yeah, I'm totally
It's
on
just you
board
have
with
to
that.
do it correctly, and you have to actually be willing to do it.
Well, yeah. Uh, uh, but well, my
But
inner
lobbying.
anarchist is coming out um, because I audit Fort Knox, right? Like that's coming. It, but it's maybe too little, too late.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's a bit of a bummer.
Kind of. Damn it. Ah, shit. No, because ultimately, it's like it's tumultuous right now. There's a lot of turmoil and a lot of fisticuffs going on, but at the end of the day, we'll come out the other side wiser, and we'll have a bright future. And at some point in time, it like humankind will be exploring the cosmos, touching other worlds, light years away. That's what I want to see. Probably not in my lifetime. If
Have there been any advances towards like propulsion?
ion drive, I guess. I mean, but that's old. There's a little bit.
Yeah, like that's what the one thing where I'm kind of skeptical. Like if you ask me, like cutting waste would involve like not going to Mars and not putting the cart before the horse in space. Like
Well, no,
there,
I agree. Like, solve
yeah,
the problems here on Earth first, and
yeah,
then we can go to space.
yeah. Like we can launch people out there, sure, but how we get them back, or what the fuck are they going to do when they're out there?
Yeah,
Like have a plan. Like not just have a plan, but actually have like tested technology to support it. And all the stuff that NASA did to get to the moon, they weren't like doing that in 2 years or something. It took a fucking decade.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man, oh, geez, there's all the moon landing people that like talk shit about NASA, and it's like, okay, NASA's not like a bunch of mustache twirling evildoers like scheming, trying to sell you some kind of lie. Like there were like 400,000 people working for that company to do that thing. And it's kind of extraordinary
Mhm.
was accomplished. Like, was it worthwhile? Well, yeah, that could be debated. But it did happen.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I'm fucking screaming about Mars. It's like, yeah, okay, it was cool to walk on the moon. Sure, like that, like for morale as a human
Oh,
race, let's say,
yeah.
like that was pretty incredible. Like that's not what we need now. Like there's so like we're fucking hit with this deluge of amazing things constantly. Like everyday life is full of like you'll never believe what we're developing and all this like crazy stuff we never would have imagined. We don't need to add setting foot on Mars to that
Yeah.
because we have nothing to gain from it.
Well,
You
and, certain people that I know have asked the question, like, oh, how come we never went back to the moon? Well, dude, it's fucking boring. There's nothing, it's a dust ball. There's nothing there. It's
Never
completely
mind the fact that we did go back to the moon a few
yeah,
times.
yeah. Well, yeah, as a human species, yes. And
Mhm.
it is still ongoing too. Okay, well, the moon actually might be a launching pad for future missions.
Was it China or India is about to go there?
India, I think.
India.
Yeah. And China. Like, well, and that's the thing. It's like, okay, well, this,
They can open the first Indochine restaurant on the moon.
Dude, imagine like a McDonald's on the moon. Holy shit. I would love that. I'd buy that for $1. Oh man. Yeah.
And Altair would play at their ribbon cutting ceremony.
The opening.
First band on the moon. First fusion restaurant on the moon.
But that's the thing. It's like, most of the planets in our solar system are kind of fucking boring. Like, there's not really a whole lot there. There's some cool things. I'd like to see more Venus missions, but I guess the Russians did that with the Venera program for a while. That was cool, and they learned a lot of stuff. But nobody's talking about going to Venus, even though that's the best place we could possibly be going right now.
We did an episode on that.
Yep. Well,
interesting how we went from lobbying to Venus.
Well, it's kind of related because, like, okay, why did those programs even happen? Like, fucking lobbying, man. That
is a good question. Like, still to this day, I feel like we wouldn't be really any different if we had never gone to the moon.
No, you're correct. Yes.
It's definitely not something that has impacted the everyday life of humans.
Well, and by the time Apollo 13, so Apollo 11 was the first moon landing. Apollo 12 was the second one. Apollo 13, nobody watched it. They didn't even air it. Nobody cared. Like, well, they didn't care until there was a problem.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it's like front page news, and everybody's freaking out. Like, oh, yeah, it was not successful. There were issues, and now we got to get these people back to the Earth. Space,
the final frontier.
Yeah.